I forgot something. Give me a second.
Okay, sorry about the echo. So, time for the face reveal. There we go. The room was slightly rearranged a little bit. I pulled the couch back after we did some damage control with our infestation. Still got a little bit of work to do, but it's not completely finished. But so far, haven't had any issues with the couch today. Something we'll progressively look at. You don't need to do that. You don't have to do that, Phoenix. Whenever we do our own streams, you don't have to drop the raid hashtag. Anyways, I already heard what I sound like at my normal volume. But now I'm going to test. Like this. I don't believe that one bit. I don't believe that one bit. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to have that removed. So, can I still be heard like this guy? Okay. You remember what happened last week? Low battery. I'm gonna have to change controller. That's okay. Gonna try to, but you shouldn't be complaining about the case. Because I got 2 parts left. No on-time essay about it, yeah. Well, we met Viola Cavardini. And yes, Phoenix, there's going to be a whole bunch of Armstrong today. A bunch of him. We met Viola Cavardini. Kind of figured out that she's slightly the victim in this entire situation. We also got more details about the radio show, and we're going to use that to our advantage in the courtroom. December 8th, 9:46 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 1. Good morning, Mr. Wright. Good morning, Maggie. So, what do you think is going to happen today, sir? Yesterday's session didn't go so well and ended on a big mystery. That's true. And we still haven't solved a single part of it yet. Are you okay, Nick? Huh? Oh, yeah, of course. I saw that little flash of doubt in your eyes. No, that wasn't doubt, that was, determination. Why don't I believe you? It's nearly time, Maggie. You better get going to the defendant's seat. Roger. Don't let me down, Mr. Wright. I'm counting on you. He is one paranoid client. Hey, pal! Hey, Detective Gumshoe. Quit stressing Maggie out. She doesn't need that. How do you know she was stressed? I was watching through the doorway. Oh. It looked like you lost the case already. Show a bit of confidence, will you, pal? Here, maybe this'll help. Huh? Have you taken up aromatherapy too? No, not in a million years, pal. Don't tell me that you don't remember this thing. Come to think of it, that doesn't look like one of those aromatherapy bottles. This is a small bottle that turned up in the Tribulations kitchen a couple days ago. Wow, look at all these little bottles. Oh, they're aromatherapy oils. He's got so many there. They're overflowing onto the floor. Hey, wait a minute. There's one bottle that's different from all the others. Well, what do you know? And it doesn't have a label either. And it doesn't smell. We finally got the analysis back from the lab. So, what is it? Is it the poison? I'm afraid not, pal. It's medication. Medication? Yeah, for ears. Topical use only, apparently. For ears? You mean... Yeah, it's the medication Glenn L was using for his ruptured eardrum. What was Glenn L's ear medication doing in the kitchen? Small bottle refiled into the court record. What about the unidentified fingerprints? Anything on that? Someone screwed up, so they only had time to analyze the contents of the bottle. Another hour and they might have gotten something on the prints, but that's going to weaken its impact as a piece of evidence. Okay, pal, this is it. Make sure your defense is impregnable today, got it? Today's trial. I'm going to expose that guy for what he's done, or my name isn't Phoenix Wright. January 8th, 10 o'clock a.m., District Court, courtroom number 4. Court is now in session for the trial of Maggie Bird. Defense is ready, Your Honor. Ready and waiting as always, Your Honor. Very good. Then we'll get underway at once. Yesterday we heard the testimony of Mr. Victor Coudeau. He claimed to have witnessed the defendant putting a powder into the victim's coffee. However, the witness's testimony was plagued with a number of problems. The mark on the rim of the cup shows that the victim drank from it with his right hand. But according to the old man's testimony, he picked it up with his left hand. Thank you, Mr. Godot. Furthermore, according to the witness's account, the victim was listening to the radio with an earpiece in his left ear. Yet the victim's left eardrum was ruptured, which made him effectively deaf in that ear. It's amazing how many contradictions a single case can have, huh, Nick? Ha! Allow me to enlighten you, Your Honor. You should never let amateurs take over the courtroom. The world, you see, keeps turning, and we must turn with it. You've lost me already, Mr. Godot. Don't let the mysteries of yesterday mystify you today. Only losers think like that, and amateurs. You've got to change with the time. That's one of my rules. Are you implying that you resolved those contradictions? You know the answers to those riddles? The old guy wasn't just throwing seeds in here. He was throwing us off the scent. And today I'll prove it. Very well. Let the first victim take the stand. And you are... I'm going to pause for a second here, because this is going to take a lot of processing the moment this happens, okay? So get ready to prepare yourself. God, my lasagna won't come apart. Are you afraid of his big muscles there, Phoenix? Does his big muscles scare you? Oh, bonjour everyone! Nobody sneeze. You do not say that when there's no sneezing. You have to know the difference. And I got a face cam now, so you should be able to tell the difference. I am John Armstrong, the owner and head chef of La Tribulations Enchanté. Forgive me for asking, Winners, but are you a woman? Oh, la la, monsieur. As you can see, I am la pert and perky gentleman, non? On the day of the incident, you were in Trey Bean's kitchen. The judge had to ask for identity in a courtroom. Isn't that right? With you, monsieur. Everything feels right. Ah! Wow, he's totally unfazed. Doesn't anything intimidate this guy? Very well, your testimony, please, witness. Please tell the court what happened the day at Trey Bien. We volunteer. At Trey Bien. When it all happened, there was just 2 customers in my restaurant. I remembered I was experimenting with the new art decor that day. Like having a large mirror between the tables, for example. Perhaps that is what the old man was looking at. La cup, la earpiece, and la glasses. He would have seen everything in reverse, no? Mirror? Oui, un grand mirror. La most enormous mirror. And suddenly the mystery disappears. We have a contradiction now. Di, do you know what the contradiction is? Like I said, the world keeps turning, so roll with it. would explain the cultic up in the eardrum conundrum. The mirror would have made everything appear back to front. What the heck? It's way too early in the morning for this to be happening to me. It's after 10 o'clock. No then, Mr. Wright. You may begin your cross-examination. This contradiction should be an eyesore. I might have given a hint on that one. And who were the two customers exactly? Must, of course, the young man who died. And the other, not so young man. You're referring to yesterday's witness, I presume. What about the other baggies that you saw at the table? Something tells me Mr. Armstrong isn't planning to disclose his existence. We need more hard evidence first before we can bring him up, don't we? I guess I'll just have to try a different approach for the time being. You were experimenting with art decor? How come I never heard about this before today? You're not familiar with the language of interior design, monsieur? Please stay on topic. Now, why didn't you tell the court about this before? Well, I did. Just a few moments ago. Excuse me, Mr. Armstrong. This decor you mentioned, are you referring to some sort of decotery? No, art decor. It's a style of design, Your Honor. He's talking about interior design, walls, ceiling, carpets, that kind of thing. Oh, yes, of course, that decor. I was trying to achieve a more la effeminate look for my restaurant. I was planning the most bold remodeling of la decor. How big of a mirror are we talking about here? Oof, something about 4 meters wide and about 2 meters high. So if we look at it, we're looking at a mirror that's about 6 feet in height and about and a mirror that's about, I would say, 21 feet across? No, that may be too big. 12 feet across, something like that. 12, 16 feet across, something like that. So that's a pretty big mirror. Let's see, if 1 meter is about 1 yard. Holy glass in her frame, that's huge! was intending to install it on the ceiling eventually. The ceiling? Was there a mirror on the ceiling? I don't remember. Much no, but I decided not to go through with it in the end. What should I do? Should I ask more about the mirror or no? If you really had such a large mirror in the restaurant, someone would have noticed that. But there's nothing about a mirror in Mr. Kudo or Maggie Bird's testimony. What?
Objection!
You didn't ask, Trite. You have only yourself to blame for such a sloppy work. But you would think that was the first thing they would mention anyways. Because they're under oath, they have to testify under law. So, asking about a mirror? Nah, they don't have to ask for a mirror. What? A mirror was delivered to Trey BN the day before the incident. Really? As Mr. Armstrong testified, he was carrying out some design changes. And as it turned out, he did actually use the mirror in the end. This just doesn't add up. Even if a mirror was delivered to Trey BN, it doesn't prove that it was in the restaurant the day of the crime. Ha! If you want to doubt someone, Troy, look in the mirror. I'm sure the person looking back at you will be dubious enough. So the witness yesterday had seen the victim reflected in a mirror. Wait, perhaps that is what the old man was looking at. What? Hold on a sec. Everything he would have seen, everything was reversed. Wait! Hey, Nick, we should take a second and think about the old CD said in his testimony. How did he phrase it again? The boy was wearing the earpiece in the same side as his green lens of his spectacles. No question, you can lock me up if I'm wrong. It was his left ear without a doubt. And then he used the same hand to pick up the cup, his left hand. If he saw everything he described reflected in the mirror, then everything he said he saw on the left was actually on the right, huh? And that clears up all the problems with his testimony, I guess, or does it? It's kind of hard to believe everything that's the fault of the mirror, but do you think old Stevie saw everything through a reflection? If he did, it would explain all the contradictions in his testimony. But that just makes the situation worse for Maggie. There's got to be something in the old man's testimony. We've just got to dig deeper. And I screwed up on that one. Give me a second. So this was the testimony I screwed up on because I pressed buttons I wasn't supposed to. But you don't have to press the last one because I hit the wrong button on that one too. If you want to still press this one, you can. I should have a paper towel. Oops. Excuse me, I have the wrong controller. Let's not do that. Normally, I would expect people to know the difference between a reflection and a real object.
Objection!
Normally? How does normally come into this? That's lame, right? Even for you. Huh? Are you trying to say that if someone isn't normal, it isn't possible? Is that it? Where does that leave the porky-headed lawyer and the top-knot chick over there? And that ungodly guy with the mask over here? Well, that's right. Ah! Not the hair! I do not have a top knot! Excuse me. Gotta get something to drink. Mr. Godot is correct. The lack of normality is no basis for discontinuing an argument. Bien. Logic as one la day. Alright, we already pressed this one. So do you have any idea where the contradiction is? We've already pressed this one, Di. This one's already pressed. Yes. Do you know where the contradiction is? What do you think would contradict it? Because if you saw everything in the mirror, everything would be in reverse. If we take a look into the account, what would contradict that? No, because in the mirror the cup would also be in reverse, which would fit with John Armstrong's testimony. The cup would definitely still be in reverse in the mirror. You want me to make it easy for you? No. Well, the apron wasn't even in the mirror to begin with. Because remember, we're going by what Victor Coudeau was seeing. And it stated that he was looking at a mirror. So that means he was seeing everything in reverse. The earpiece, the eyepiece, and the coffee cup were all in reverse. So I'll make it a little easy for you. There's one thing that would contradict everything if it was in reverse. Thinking too hard about this one, aren't you? Well, you're gonna probably shoot yourself in the foot. Take a look at his face. Okay? If you were to put that in front of a mirror, what would happen? Well, we're specifically looking at the victim himself, okay? We're specifically looking at the victim himself because, remember, this is a really big mirror. So he's going to be able to see the victim at his table with a mirror because we're going to assume that based on what Armstrong says, he's in the table directly behind Glenelg's table. And then there's this mirror where you can see everything that the man was looking at. So, but you take a look at Glenelg's face. If you reverse that, what do you see? Okay. Give me an example. Look at the face cam. All right. You see this thumb drive, okay? Okay, it's in the same side as it's on Glenelg's left side, my left side. You're seeing on the right side. If you were to look at it in the mirror, actually, I can do this differently, okay? I'm not going to change nothing. I'm not going to move anything. What just happened? Everything is mirrored. Okay? I didn't change no hand. It flipped. That's so when you look at Glenn Elg's face, look at it complete. Now you get it, yes. That apparently is not going to work on this testimony, that statement. But we got the right idea. This evidence clearly reveals a contradiction in the statement, Your Honor. Oh, exactly. The evidence in the statement just not related. They aren't, are they? Not at all. Mr. Wright, please think the facts over before making accusations. I don't think that won me any points with the judge. Okay, so we got the wrong statement, but we have the right evidence.
Objection!
The coffee cup and the earpiece in the HMD. Let's think back over Mr. Kudo's testimony for a second, shall we? The boy was wearing the earpiece on the same side of his green lens of his specs. No question, you can lock me up if I'm wrong. It was his left ear, without a doubt. So, to summarize, we were told both the HMD and the earpiece were on the victim's left side. Now, if Mr. Kudo saw all that in a reflection in a mirror, it means both the HMD and the earpiece were actually on the victim's right side. Excellent! You see, monsieur? Now that you think about it, it is not so hard, huh? Unfortunately, that's where we run into a monumental contradiction with the facts. If Mr. Kudo really did see everything in a mirror, why is it that the HMD is now on the wrong side of his head? Order! Order! Mr. Wright is correct. If the witness generally observed the victim reflected in the mirror, then we would expect the victim's eyepiece to have been over his right eye.
Objection!
How bitter. Right? You should have a taste of this bitterness. It'll calm you down in no time. Are we talking about your coffee or something completely different? You don't understand the way the witness thinks. How he thinks? Remember this, I presume? I broke the vase. Sorry, apology. I mean, Mr. Kudo's sworn testimony? Exactly. The old man has one very gracious habit. Other than throwing seeds, the more of an impression something makes, the more muddled his mind makes it. And what's the most striking thing about Mr. Elg? Clearly it's the victim's eyepiece. And that's my point. The old man strikes again. Mr. Elg's HMD made a big impression on the old man. I saw the earpiece and those newfangled spectacles he was wearing. Oh yes, they were both on his left ear. Do you hear? His left ear. Ha! Well tried. That's the worst and best impression of Kudo ever. Wow, I really thought he was old CD for a minute there. Kudo's great. Enough. I must agree that yesterday's witness was irresponsibly rash in much of his testimony. Bad luck, Nick. Looks like the boil of contradiction you found is just a rash. A mirror cannot be beaten by a handful of seeds, nor can it lie. So, what exactly was the old man looking at? Fill us in, Mr. Armstrong. Go on, tell the court. We're all ears. I can explain. Please, if you will look at the plan of the restaurant. The mirror. Okay. So he is exactly going to explain the mirror in detail. Oh Lord, is everyone sitting comfortably? Is he making a speech? La mirror, it was in the middle of the restaurant, dividing the two halves. This is a small restaurant. This is a big mirror. This would be a major hazard. There is only one seat from which you could have seen an image of the victim. That was the seat at the table next to the victim. That was where the old man was sitting. After the terrible incident occurred, I moved the mirror so it was not in the way. Just by reading this, we already spot another contradiction. But naturally, I did not touch anything else. I see no problem with the explanation we have just heard. From the table next to the victim, Mr. Kudo could have seen the victim in the mirror. What a naughty little concrete I am, confusing all the men like this. Don't worry about it. We can keep up. Expect for the guy breaking out in a cold sweat over there. Or accept. I hate that guy. You said you didn't touch anything else apart from the mirror, which is a lie. Are you quite sure about that? Volunteers, of course. Very well, Mr. Wright. Your cross-examination, if you please. Alright. Think about the contradiction for a second. As you go through this testimony, okay, Di? So you run this by me again. The mirror was here, correct? We? Really? Because I know if I were you, I wouldn't have put a mirror there. It would be in the way. Well, yeah, it would be, because you have the waitresses walking in that area. And that aisle space isn't that big. That aisle space is only big enough for 2 people.
Objection!
Look who's talking, Trite. Huh? You're obstructing my view, among other things. But, this is my seat in the courtroom. Tribulations' charm is that it gives you the impression that you're the only customer. Temporarily placing a mirror in the spot would hardly be in the way. Unlike you, Trite. I tell you, Mature, the mirror was there in the middle of the restaurant. And where would that be? Oh no! Look at you! Look how you lean towards me. How are you dressed, the younger boy? Maybe I should keep you in suspense a little longer. Mr. Armstrong, tell the court what you know at once. I attract the older men too. You know, handsome. Yeah, I see you too. I'm already seeing a very hot someone, so I'm afraid you'll have to wait for a long time. I bet she has mocha cream skin and cappuccino perfume. Yeah, I tell you, there was only one seed from which you could have seen. Phoenix, complain more. I'm going to have Di press more of these statements just to keep them on the witness stand. So why can you only see the victim from this particular seat? Yes, monsieur. It is obvious, known. If you look at the plan, you understand. That rhymed. The victim would have been reflected in the mirror, like so. You were sitting at the table next to him. You would see everything, known. So that's the seat old City was sitting in on that day when the poisoning happened. The old man was sitting at the table next to the victim. Why does that seem kind of odd? Did you move the mirror while Mr. Cadeau was off calling the police? Wait, excellent. I carried it out of the restaurant then. You moved a huge mirror like that all by yourself? What can I say? I know how to pick things up, handsome. Ha ha! Cadeau actually laughed at something. Whoa, given the witness physique, I suppose that it is possible. Did you move anything else from the crime scene, Mr. Armstrong? It looked like the obligating type, no? Are you sure about that? I tried nothing else except the mirror. Mr. Wright, is there something the witness had said that doesn't match the crime scene? Yeah, there is. I just can't put my finger on what exactly. We'll just explain it. There was a medicine bottle. He put it with his aromatherapy bottle. He moved Maggie Bird from the crime scene. Ah! Suffering from a case of heartburn, Troy? Oh, I have just the thing for that. An oil with golden myrrh and Frankenstein. Add a few drops to your coffee and voila, enjoy. Yuck. Just see a gastroenterologist. Focus, Phoenix, please. I need to ignore those two and just find some evidence. It is pretty strange though, isn't it? I mean, nobody mentioned anything about a really large mirror. You think that someone would have, but Maggie didn't, and neither did old Sadie. And the only logical explanation is that there was no mirror inside Tribby that day. Now, I've just got to prove it somehow. Okay, time to figure out contradiction. Hold on, give me a second. No, because this is talking about the incident, okay? And he said the reason why the mirror was not seen at the scene is because he moved it. We don't have anything to prove that statement, okay? However, we do have a way to prove this statement. Think about what that said, okay? So if you take a look at the floor plans, let me show you what the floor plans look like. Okay? So this is the floor plan. So he is saying that Victor Kudo is sitting in the chair next to the kitchen, okay, at the top. The mirror is in the middle. And the victim sat in the chair all the way next to the register, okay? And that's how he's seen it. But, based on Victor Kudo's testimony, we know that's incorrect, okay? So, what piece of evidence will prove that wrong? Based upon Victor Kudo's testimony. How is that apron going to prove anything? Because read what it says. That was the seat at the table next to the victim. That was where the old man was sitting. Okay, think about it. Think about what that says. Think about his seating. How would the apron contradict that statement? This piece of evidence contradicts with the testimony we have heard, Your Honor. I'm seeing photo. Yes, this photo clearly shows something that theoretically should not exist. Okay, so we're going to end up proving it more. Okay. What on earth do you mean by that, Mr. Wright? Do not exist? Ha! Sounds like you're describing yourself, trite. Now then, if the defense will please clarify its statement. What is that something that should not exist in this photo? Think about it, guy. Think about that testimony. I think it's pretty obvious that this is what should not be in this picture. The face? What possible connection does that have with this witness testimony? Your Honor, I'm telling you that there should have been no vase on this table. Because it very clearly contradicts with this piece of evidence. And you know what evidence it does, right?
Take that!
There is one thing that was clearly demonstrated by yesterday's testimony. Mr. Cadeau broke the vase that was on the table where he was sitting. And yet, as the court can see, there is an unbroken vase on the table next to the victim. Why? Because Mr. Cadeau was not, in fact, sitting at the table next to the victim at all.
Objection!
Don't be an idiot, Trite. That's impossible. That seat's the only one Cadeau could have seen the victim's reflection from. Exactly. There is only one conclusion we can draw from this contradiction. There was no mirror in the Tribune that day. Your testimony, Mr. Armstrong, is an elaborate lie. Not yours! Don't try to confuse the court, Trite. Obvious the witness cleaned up the vase, while the police were taking their time getting to the crime scene. Objection! Unfortunately, Mr. Cadeau, that doesn't quite work for me. Mr. Armstrong already testified to the contrary in his own words. I did not touch anything else except for that mirror. Well, witness, what do you have to say for yourself? I was right. There was no mirror in that restaurant that day. In light of this revelation, we return back to the original problem. Why did the victim have an earpiece in an ear in which he couldn't hear? Ha! You only get one shot in life. There's no turning back. If you want to claim that the mirror wasn't there, Trite, then this problem is all yours. How do you explain what the old man saw? If I can answer this, then I'll be that much closer to the truth. I can feel it. Are you going to be okay? Can you really solve this contradiction, Nick? There's more than just this one contradiction, Maya. What do you mean? Remember what Maggie told us. There was another man at the victim's table. And there was a sample CD on the victim's table. It all flies in the face of Mr. Cadeau's testimony. And I think I know the reason why nothing in this case is adding up. Well, Mr. Wright, let's hear your answer. Yes, Your Honor. The reason behind all the contradiction in Mr. Cadeau's testimony is simple. There's only one answer that fits. To be honest with you, Mr. Cadeau, he did not make any mistake in his testimony. I can honestly tell you that right now. He did not make a mistake in his testimony. This case is riddled with contradictions, yet there is only one very simple answer that clears them all up. And what is that? The incident Mr. Cadeau witnessed and the incident the victim experienced were two completely different events. What? Yes, the victim that Mr. Cadeau saw wasn't Mr. Glenalg at all. It was an imposter, a phony, pretending to be Mr. Elg. Obviously, unlike the victim, there was nothing wrong with the imposter's left eardrum. That's how he ended up wearing the earpiece in his left ear by mistake. Boom! Order in the court. Settle down or I'll clear the courtroom. Quiet, Gramps. Why don't you clear out of here, huh? What did you just say? Trike, are you saying that what Mr. Cadeau saw was a setup? Yes. Someone pretended to be Glenalg and acted out the whole coffee poisoning, all for the express purpose of creating a witness out of one Mr. Victor Cadeau.
Objection!
Get real, Trike. Why would anyone want to do that? Isn't it obvious? The thing Mr. Cadeau was most interested about in his testimony was the server gal brought him a Davicino, but she put something in it. That's the serving girl right there in the defendant's chair. I remember her well. It's so hard to believe, but there was one and only one reason to show Mr. Cadeau this fake poisoning. To show Maggie Bird in the act of poisoning the coffee.
Objection!
Are you insinuating the waitress in the old man's story was a fake as well? It's true that there were no other customers in the restaurant at the time, but it's also true that the chef was there. He would have noticed what was happening. He's right. So that's right. Well, witness, if your restaurant really was the scene of such theatrics, you would have known about it, correct? Ooh la la! This is most difficult for me because you know it's true. It happened.
Objection!
No, it's quite simple. All you have to do is testify. You are under oath, after all. Was there, in fact, a phony at Tribulations that day? The defense demands that Mr. Armstrong tell the whole truth about what happened. The defense's request for additional testimony is accepted. You will accurately explain in detail the events in the restaurant that day. We in the restaurant. The victim, Mr. Elg, he came to my restaurant. I remember the old man arriving not long after him. There was no other customers. When he got word he won the lottery, Elg became very excited. It was approximately 5 minutes later that the poisoning incident occurred. No, there was no time for a phony to do the acting. Just so we're clear, there was no mirror in the restaurant after all. Je vous demande pardon. Forgive me, Your Honor. I lied because I wanted this mess to be cleared up quickly. What you have just done is commit perjury, Mr. Armstrong. I will decide how to punish you later. Oui. For now, we will hear your cross-examination, Mr. Wright, if you please. He took that perjury charge a bit too well. But I'm guessing he'll be in more serious trouble after this cross-examination. Sadly, more contradictions going to show up for you, Armstrong. Was he alone at his table as well? Must we? I saw him from the kitchen. Yet the defendant, Maggie Bird, remembered it differently. She swears that there was another man at that victim's table.
Objection!
Ha! Unfortunately for you, Trite, yesterday's witness also testified that the victim was alone. You know, seeing you squirm like that reminds me of a certain coffee's bittersweet bite. What kind of coffee has he been drinking? It's not coffee, it's love. It's love that's bittersweet. Hearing Maya say that makes her seem wise all of a sudden. By old man, you mean Victor Coudeau, correct? Oui, he comes often for my special coffee. I drank your coffee once, Mr. Armstrong. It's special, I'll give you that. It's worth a sip, just for the experience. Oh, you make me so happy, monsieur. You are most welcome anytime. That does not sound good. I said it was worth one sip, and nothing more. So Mr. Coudeau arrived at the restaurant around the same time as the victim. Maybe I should ask about his arrival in more detail. We're gonna ask what time it was, actually, because how many minutes after isn't gonna help us any. So if we ask what time it was, this is gonna give us a general idea what time it was that he had entered. Because throughout the entire case, nobody mentioned the time. So that's what we need to establish. Out of the last trial, we all assumed it was around 1 o'clock, but nobody asked what time it was. Out of curiosity, about what time was it when Mr. Coudeau arrived? Oh no, I cannot remember much, sir. I believe we were told by a witness yesterday. The crime was reported at 2:25 p.m. by a kind of shady old man, sir. 2:25 p.m. Keep that in mind. 2:25 p.m. Does that perhaps jog your memory, witness? That incident happened about 20 minutes after he arrived. So the victim must have arrived between 2 o'clock p.m. and 2:10 p.m. No? Just after 2, huh? Thank you for your help in jogging my memory, my short. You were wonderful. Ha ha. I can't sit here all the time and do nothing now, can I? The time of the day will be added to the witness's testimony. Please, my short judge. Everything I do it for you. Those are lines from a song. Have you heard the song, Guy? It goes, everything I do it for you. Something like that. Merci bien. That's French, isn't it? Ha ha ha. I'm glad at least one person is in a good mood. He's even humming a song to himself. Are you absolutely sure about the time? When I think real hard, I am sure it was just after 2 weeks. It is the time I stopped serving the lunch menu. Quite right. I always break for lunch when the restaurants are serving their specials. I've been known to wind up a case early just to make it on time. Ha ha! I guess you should never get between an angry judge and his lunch. Oh, would you look at that? It's almost lunchtime already. Witness, get on with your testimony, please. Whoops. You wanted that pressed? So your only customers were Mr. Kudo and the victim?
Objection!
How many times do you need to ask the same thing, Trite? You've never catch me drinking the same blend twice. Huh? You're trying to establish the presence of a phony victim in the restaurant, but you're wasting your time. You can't grind bird seeds to make coffee, if you catch my drift. But there's a hole in this testimony somewhere. I'm sure of it. Okay. She's gonna be polite, okay, Phoenix? I am not going to force her to use YouTube. And besides, she doesn't really have a mobile device that runs YouTube. She cannot carry her computer into the bathroom. You forget this. She doesn't have a mobile device that actually where she can watch YouTube. And she can't carry the computer into the bathroom. You're gonna have to wait. Gonna have to deal with it. He's not a demon. There is one demon in here, and it's not him. He's only the accomplice. I can't figure the PC in the bathroom. He forgets. He's probably already forgotten what he ate for breakfast this morning. Did you see him? No, I was in the kitchen, but I heard him. I remember him shouting, "Yes, $500,000! Presumably the defendant heard that too then, correct? Maggie? Looks like a poor little frightened dove. And what about Mr. Cadeau? Now only a choked on some bird seeds that got stuck in his throat. It seems we now have yet another incident on our hands. And what were you doing at that point? Without any customers, you must have had time to kill. I am a multi-talented woman, Monsieur. Sorry? What do you mean? You're a renowned chef, Jean Armstrong, and the tragic poet, Clarice Armstrong. Clarice? Oui, I was written a poem, an angry tale of a chef, and $500,000 of debt. Cooking for a man who's won $500,000 on the lottery. It is called Parkour. It means why? Perhaps I could recite it for the court? Please don't. You mean you contacted the police as soon as the incident occurred? I asked the old man to call from La payphone. By your own judgment, right? The purpose of this phony victim's performance was so the old man would see it. In other words, once the incident occurred, this opportunity would completely disappear. Indeed. Bien. It seems the shadows of doubt has been lifted, n'est-ce pas? Yes, Mr. Armstrong is connected to this case, huh? Absolutely. Someone was impersonating Mr. Elg, and I refuse to believe he was oblivious. He was there the whole time after all. But if you're right, wouldn't Maggie have noticed too? No, she would not. Remember, Maya, she was out cold, okay? She fell unconscious when the incident occurred, remember? Ah, you mean that's when the phony stages act? We'll know for sure once I find a hole in this testimony. You should know the contradiction. You should know the contradiction to the testimony. No, it's not going to be the last statement. It's actually going to be this one. And there is a piece of evidence that contradicts this one. And you should remember what it is. And I'll give you a hint. We had to break their psych lock for this one. Remember, Phoenix says that psych lock was a wasted psych lock. And this will prove that psych lock wasn't a waste. I'm afraid I finally got you, Mr. Armstrong. What? What do you mean? At the time in question, the victim was listening to the radio with his earpiece. The show he was listening to was Millionaire Radio. Each week, they announced the winning numbers of the $500,000 lottery ticket. Oui, that must be the show, mon. I was listening to. I can't see any problem with this testimony, Mr. Wright. I wonder. You say the victim arrived at the restaurant at 2 p.m., correct? Oui, I am sure of it. I remember it perfectly now. I know it was that time because I had just finished serving a lunch menu. Get to the point, Trite. You have one, if you have one. The show is broadcast live at 1:30 p.m. and it claims to be the most thrilling 10 minutes of your life. It's on the air at 1:30? Now, supposedly, the victim made some noise when it was announced that he had won. And yet, I don't believe his cry of joy could have occurred after 2 p.m. because the show had already finished more than 30 minutes earlier by that point in time. No! This victim we have been told about has done nothing but the impossible. Listening to the radio with a ruptured eardrum, catching a show that was already over. There is only one conclusion you can draw from these facts. This victim was an imposter, acting out the poisoning 30 minutes after the real murder. Yes, there were 2 Glenelgs in the Tribune that day. The real Glenelg, now dead, having been poisoned by the real killer. And that the phony Glenelg acting out the event for Mr. Kudo to witness. It certainly seems that way. I mean, if that wasn't the case, how could you explain the time discrepancy?
Objection!
Quite a performance, Trite. You were almost on a roll. But sadly, you lack the rock-hard foundation of rhythm to build your song. What is this? Music Theory 101? Let's recap. According to your imaginative theory, it's now just after 2 p.m. The phony elk is performing a play for the benefit of Mr. Kudo. How do you explain then where the real Glen Elk is? Well, that's easy. I don't believe I have to spell this out for the court. However, at the time, the real Glen Elk was already dead. That's certainly the obvious conclusion.
Objection!
Thank you, Trite. That's exactly what I was hoping you would say. What? Now, I presume you can prove this theory of yours. Can you explain where the missing corpse went to? The missing corpse? According to the old man's testimony, there was only one other customer there. If that customer was the phony Glen Elk, then where did the killer hide the body of the real victim? Ah! Well, that's easy to explain. Prosecution has a valid point, Mr. Wright. If your theory is to stand up to examination by the court, you must provide us with the proof by answering the prosecution's question. Where did the killer hide the body? Yes, Your Honor. No conjecture, Trite. Let's hear some facts for once. Show the court a piece of evidence that proves where the body was hidden. Evidence? Well, what's the intense pressure in here all of a sudden? I thought I had him with that contradiction. But he's turned it all around and backed me into a corner instead. Well, Mr. Wright, the court will now hear the defense's theory and evidence. First, where was the body of the real Mr. L concealed? It would have been too dangerous to take the body outside. Obviously, the body must have been inside, somewhere inside Tray BN. Interesting. But where could a body have been hidden inside a restaurant? Perhaps you could care to show the court on these plans, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. The exact location where the body was located inside the Tray BN is... can't be under the table. It would be too obvious. The body was hidden here. I see. Nice supposition. But the real question is, can you back it up? Where's the evidence that proves the body was hidden in that location? Well, this one's easy too. Mr. Armstrong, do you recognize this bottle? No. I've never seen that ugly bottle before in my life. I only use the very best bottles, monsieur. The highest quality only for me. Where was the bottle found, Mr. Wright? Interesting enough, Your Honor, it was found in the kitchen of the Tray BN. Eh? Quite? But I'll ever use the bottle for my aromatherapy oils. But this bottle doesn't contain aromatherapy oil, Mr. Armstrong. No, it contains a medication. What kind of medication? I'm sure everyone remembers, don't they? That Mr. Algvizin Ortolaryngological Clinic. And was given medication that day. I had totally butchered that word again. You even butchered it too. You can't be serious. The defense had the contents of the bottle analyzed, and I have the lab results here. The contents of the bottle match the prescription that was given to Mr. L. War! Glenn L's murderer hid the body in the restaurant kitchen, at which time this bottle fell out of the victim's pocket. Mr. Armstrong, when the incident occurred, did you say you were in the kitchen? Bonjour. Yes. You know what I'm about to say. It was you who hid the victim's body. You did a fine job pretending to defend my client, Maggie Bird, however. You were setting her up to take the fall behind the poor girl's back.
No!
Order! Order! This is an extraordinary development. Witness, did you murder Mr. Glenelg?
Never! I could not do such a horrible thing.
No! Mr. Godot? The bitterness. Every time I get lied to, I always down a mug of coffee and then burn 3 layers of my throat along with it. That's one of my rules. And also have to spit blood with it. Do you have the slightest idea how many cups you've had by now? Then I like to do the same to the person who lied to me. I like to take them down with my empty cup. Listen up, chef. How about a brand new flavor in your ear, my ace defection friend?
J'avoue, demandez pardon? Please, you must hear me out. It's a trap. Listen to me. Por favor.
Yo hablo español, Mr. Armstrong, and por favor is Spanish. I'm only going to ask you once. Did you do it?
No, absolutely no. I simply,
Let's hear it. You've got one shot, right, Gramps? Witness, the court will permit you the chance to make one final statement. If you lie under oath again, Mr. Godot's coffee mug awaits you. As does my gavel.
wait, it is clear.
What do they always say in the movie? I've got a bad feeling about this. Very well. Begin your final testimony, Mr. Armstrong. The confession.
It is true. I hid the body in the kitchen. A man forced me to do it. I had no choice. I had to go with him. Because there was a reason why I could not refuse. But it did not kill him. I swear it. You must believe me.
Andy, you gotta turn that off. You were forced? By who?
I cannot say, or I will be erased.
Let's try a different question then. When Mr. L died, was he really the only person at his table?
There was... There was another man.
I knew it. Maggie was telling the truth. You may cross-examine the witness on Mr. Wright. There's just one more thing I need to do. I gotta break this guy and get him to tell us the name of the real killer. This one's going to be an interesting testimony. Did you carry the body by yourself?
Oui, I carried him, and I carried Maggie too.
Maggie too?
When she saw the victim collapse, she fainted. I could not leave her there.
But why did you hide the body? What man? Who was he?
No, I cannot say. I fear for my life.
He's really scared. You'll just have to put the words in his mouth, Nick. Yeah, you're right. If he won't tell me, I'll tell him.
Why would you go along with this man?
And what reason would that be, Mr. Armstrong?
You know, monsieur.
Yes?
Surely you cannot expect a young maid of madame to talk about such an embarrassment.
Madame? You're a bit old to get away with that. A bit too male.
I can't finish the cross-examination without establishing his reason.
So I'll just have to prove it with evidence. So, you are claiming that all you did was hide the bodies, is that correct?
Please, that's right.
If we are to believe you, Mr. Armstrong, you must tell the court everything. You must make clear the identity of the man who ordered you to do this. He's already confessed this much. You might as well stop dancing around the real issue. Yeah, but he really doesn't want to tell us who the killer is. Then shock it to him. Then sock it to him, Nick. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Okay, so this testimony is a little bit interesting because you have two statements that you can use. There isn't exactly any contradiction in his testimony, but there are two pieces of statements in here that you can resolve with testimony, and each statement requires a different testimony. So you have a choice of which one you want to pick. Based on what that statement says, relates to that statement. Or that piece of evidence, I should say. It's not going to be the last one because you have no evidence to actually choose the last one. Okay? Because you cannot disprove what he says, okay? There's no evidence to say that he did kill the person or did not kill that person. Okay? Okay, based on what that says, there was a reason why he could not refuse. What was that reason why he could not refuse? No, it's not the ticket. The ticket is $500,000. Armstrong did not get the ticket. You have $500,000 debt, don't you? Now, the other statement you could have done was statement 2, and you could have used Fiora Tigra's profile picture. $500,000? Is that true, Mr. Armstrong?
Oui. Sure, this soleil. I was weak and I borrowed the money.
This is Mr. Armstrong's Achilles heel. And that's why you couldn't refuse anything asked of you by this man. Now we're going to be picking a profile picture. And who is it? $500,000 loan for a black market loan shark. So if you had done 2, you would have to go the opposite way. You pick his profile picture and then followed by John Armstrong's loan contract. And you had no way of paying it back, did you? That's why you were forced to do anything this man told you.
Oui, it is as you say.
Mr. Armstrong.
The tiger, he told me he was going to use my restaurant for a business rendezvous. On the day in question, he was meeting the victim to demand that he repay his loan. I don't know why it happened like that. I just did what he told me to do. I had no choice. I carried the body and sent Maggie out of the dining room and in the kitchen. After that, I just tried to forget what I had seen.
I think we can now safely say that the man who forced your hand was Mr. Fiora Tigra. I do have one further question for you, Mr. Armstrong. The poison in the lottery ticket that were found in the defendant's apron pocket, was that your doing as well?
No, I knew nothing about that. Making it look like it was Maggie who had done it, I was not. It is despicable.
Mr. Godot, you will summon this Firo Tigra as a witness. I doubt that can be arranged today, so we will adjourn for now. Proceedings will continue tomorrow. "30 minutes. What? The trial will go on. I'll see to it myself. I need half an hour to get that guy on the stand. Not a minute more." How the... Don't sit back and relax yet, Trite. No one knows if the chef is really telling the truth or not. This trial could still go either way. Very well. Your request is granted, Mr. Godot. We will resume once Mr. Tigra is ready to take the stand. Until then, court is adjourned for a 30-minute recess. Okie dokie. Now let's think about this case for a little bit. So, first of all, questions, concerns, criticisms? Okay. So, what exactly have we just learned in this trial? Okay, that was part of it. The biggest part of it is that we learned that the entire incident was staged. And Maggie was accused for the stage process. And it was proven to be fake. To hide the fact that Vera Tigra was not there. To hide the fact that Maggie did not see Fiera Tigra in the restaurant. That was what we found out. Okay. And we found out that based on what Armstrong said, this whole incident happened at 2 p.m., which was impossible. Because Glenn Al could not have listened to the $1 Million Radio at that time. So that's what we found out. So now, we've already placed Armstrong as the accomplice, even though he is the victim. And now it's time to prove the killer. And we're pretty sure Fiera Tigra is responsible for Glenn Aud's murder. Phoenix can stop whining about John Armstrong now. January 8th, 1:21 p.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 1. Okay. So we're finally going to see the tiger on the stand. We've almost got this case won now, Nick. I wish I could agree. Huh? When I cross-examined Mr. Armstrong just now, he said he was just doing what the tiger told him to do. But Godot picked up on it, remember? He pointed out that without proof, we don't know if what he said specified is the truth. You mean, you think Mr. Armstrong was lying? I don't know, but if that's the line the prosecution takes, we could be in trouble. I get the feeling that we don't have the case-making evidence we're going to need. Hey, pal! Detective Gumshoe. What are you so jumpy about, Detective? Your hair is standing on end. Hey, that's the pot calling the kettle black. Little top knot, Miss Top Knot. It's not a top knot! Never mind about the hair, just calm down, alright? I can't stand still when I don't have a job to do. I kind of get wound up. Arrgh! No kidding. You gotta have something you need me to do, pal? Anything. Hell, hey, I'm gonna take a jog back down to the precinct. I could get some prints analyzed for you if you've got an hour. An hour? Trial will be reconvened by then. But Nick, we still don't have any real decisive piece of evidence, right? True, without some kind of trump card to pull out of the bag, we're really stuck. You said you could get some fingerprints analyzed. Done in an hour? You bet! In that case, would you mind checking the print on this for me? You remember what that piece of evidence is, Di? No, you don't, do you? Well, I do. Take that! If you're going back to the station anyway, could you find out whose prints are on this? Oh, hey, that's the small bottle I gave back to you this morning, right? Yeah, I think it's time we solve the last mystery of who the prints on it belongs to. Sure thing, pal. Actually, that's been gnawing at me too. Small bottle given to Detective Gumshoe. We'll see it back. Okay, I'll get this off to the labs right away. Just make sure you don't lose the case before I get back. No? No? We won't lose the case by then. This is pretty much the final showdown, I guess. It's time to separate the phonies from the real guys. January 8th, 1:15 p.m., District Court, Courtroom Number 4. court will now reconvene. Mr. Godot, did you find this Furo Tigra? I even tamed him for you. It was a 3-cup job, no problem. We talked about taming Phoenix last night, didn't we, Di? Tamed him? The guy's name may be Furo Tigra, but come on! He's pretty lively. Be careful, he still bites. Very well, please show Mr. Tigra to the stand. I have to speak the freaking New York accent. Still in New York. Ah! Don't hide under the table, Maya, unless there's room for me down there too. You might. What'd you say to me? Nothing. I didn't say nothing, honest. We could have guessed the fear would induce the bad Brooklyn accent into the judge. I got business to take care of, you hear me? So who the hell called me into this hole? Was it you, Spikey? No, of course not. It was the judge. Your Honor? Oh dear, I seem to have dropped my pen. Where are your citizens? Don't mind me, just carry on with the proceeding as normal. That's that. We're due. Maybe you didn't hear me. I said, who the hell was it that called me in here? There's no need to shout. We can all hear you. What'd you say? There's no point struggling. You're caught in a snare, the relentless snare of the law. And I'm the one that holds you in. Grr. Too cool. Don't let him get the better of you, Nick. Let's start with the basics. You know about the incident in question, correct? Incident? I don't know nothing about no stinking incident, math boy. You mean you didn't attend to the previous trial of Maggie Bird? Maggie who? I've got more important things to do than watch courtroom dramas. Of course. Well, perhaps you could give us your testimony then. Please tell us about what you did on the day of the murder. Phoenix, right? You're the one who set this up, didn't you? No. You're going to regret the day you ruffled the tiger's fur. You hear what I'm saying? No. Maybe I should have brought a diaper with me today. Get a grip, Nick! Dia's probably hiding under her table now, too. I don't know nothing about no murder. I was tied up with business in December last year. Spent all my time in my office. I got whales lined up to borrow cash from tender lender every single day. Yous want to check my alibi? Just ask Violetta. Ah, alas, I found my pen. Very well then, Mr. Wright. Your question, yep. Ugh! What is it? Please, witness, if you can refrain from shouting out like that. I know the kind of games that guy in blue plays. That lowlife ain't no lawyer. He just punches away at stupid details till he wins. Low life? Me? Listen up, Smarty. Every time you ask me something that doesn't relate to this case, I'm gonna bill you $500 and you're gonna borrow the money from me. 50,000, whatever. That's one loan contract I refuse to sign. I don't think it ain't gonna hurt when you tangle with the tiger. Ha! I love a good spectator sport. Just a minute. That's really not. This witness is, how can I put it, a hungry tiger roaming the urban jungle. Get on his bad side and he'll bite everyone's heads off. Yours too. Very well. I have no choice but to impose a penalty system here. You'd better be listening. I said I got business to take care of. Big business. If I don't split now, I ain't gonna catch my butt. Court will impose a penalty for any irrelevant pressing of the testimony. Keep that in mind as you begin your cross-examination, Mr. Wright. Is this starting to remind you of Manfred von Karma? Yes. So, what do you want done? You want me to help you with these ones? Okay. Yes, Your Honor. You can do it, Nick! Come on from under there already, would you, Maya? The tiger's alibi. Are you sure about that? We're talking about 1 month ago, you know. You see these teeth? That's how sharp my secretary is. Sharp? Is he talking about Viola Cadaveretti? She writes everything in my scheduler. December, mainly in the office. That's what it says. So that's where I was. That seems like a rather sketchy schedule. Drawer! There he goes again. What the tiger did all December isn't the issue. What's important is what he was doing on the day of the murder. So now what? Mr. Tigger, what'd you want? If you wouldn't mind going into a bit more detail.
Objection!
This is a dead end, Trite, and you know it. Remember the rules?
Objection!
No, it's essential that we establish the witness's alibi accurately. I agree! The witness was killed on December 3rd. Were you in the office that day too? Maybe yous ain't listening. Of course I was. I never set foot outside. I had meetings all day with a bunch of cats waiting to do business with me. I ain't never seen that young kid before. You lying? I do believe the witness's last statement was important. Mr. Godot, if you would please. Mr. Tigger, the court asked you to add that last statement to your testimony. Don't let an animal beat you. Be a man, Your Honor. And ask him yourself. The day you was talking about, I was in the office too. I never saw that kid before. Mr. Tigra, you claim you didn't know Mr. Glen Elg, but it appears that Mr. Elg knew you. What? Mr. Elg left this little note on his calendar. Meet with the tiger. And the date? December 3rd. December 3rd? That's the day of the murder. So, Mr. Tigra, I submit that you did indeed know one Mr. Glen Elg. Because on that very day of the incident, you met with him. Not bad. Not bad. Sorry? I was just messing with you to see how good you were. Did you hear that, Nick? He said you're not bad. That's one compliment I can do without. Plus he's lying through his teeth. Witness, please remember that you're under oath. Lies will not be tolerated. You calling me a liar? Is that what you're doing? Ruh-roh. The Scooby-Doo reference. Gotta love him, right, Di? Ruh-roh, Raggy. So you're saying that your claim to have never seen the kid before is the truth? I said I'm dead serious. You better believe that's the truth. Ha! Then I'd say that gives me the time to enjoy another cup of pure black magic. That is, while you testify to the court again, Mr. Tigra. Oh yes, would you mind indulging the court, witness? You never actually met the victim? That's gotta be a lie right there. It's time I nailed this guy. The victim, Glen Elg. I ain't no liar. I never met Glen Elg. There was some lame guy with that name, though. Wanted to borrow cash from me. I set up a meeting with the guy at my office, tender lender. I waited around for him, but he ain't never showed. I ain't never been to that Tribulations joint used here. Never been to that Tribulations. I see. That all seems perfectly logical. You had arranged to meet with the victim, but he didn't show up. I've heard it's pretty bad to keep appointments when you're dead. Very well, you may begin your cross-examination, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. Didn't I tell you I got a big deal going down today? I ain't gonna make my bus now. I'm gonna have to take the express train. That bill's gonna straight to you, right? Grr. Well, you're going to have your ride over in prison here soon. This is going to be the exact same thing, Di. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Mr. Tigra, is there something you'd like to tell the court about these matches? Matches? What you talking about? And who's that little green fairy underneath your desk? We found them in your office and sent a letter. They're from that restaurant. And what green little fairy? What? I swear I saw a little green fairy under your desk. If you've never been to Tribulations before, what was a book of the restaurant's matches doing on your desk? You've been snooping around in my stuff now, this too wise guy? What are you, my ball and chain? Ain't no broad controlling me. Order. Well, witness, I think it's time you started telling us the truth, don't you? Sorry, I'm terribly sorry, forgive me! I know, pussycat. I don't go back on what I said. I never been to outer space either. I don't know this Josie either. But okay, I was at the joint that day. What? But listen good, alright? I must have been there. But I still never met that kid. Well. Looks like an order just came in for another testimony. I'm this close to proving it was him. He did meet Glenn out that day. And he did put poison in his coffee. He must have. At Tribulations. I was supposed to meet with that kid at the restaurant that afternoon. When I opened the door to the joint, I saw one ugly scene. The guy was laid over the table, stiff as concrete. I figured if the place wasn't hot already, it was gonna be, so I slid. I heard the cops siren on my way out, and I went straight back to my office. Didn't actually meet with him in the end, then. Well, Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, please. Yes, Your Honor. Is the Green Fairy ready to do this cross-examination? Or no? I'm going to tell you, it's about the same as the last ones. You want me to do it, don't you? You want to hide underneath that desk again, don't you? Tiger's too scary, isn't he? Hold it. If I wait around any longer, I ain't gonna even make the normal express. No more stupid questions. Ha! No problem. Anytime Trite presses you on something irrelevant, I'll see he pays a penalty. Mr. Godot, that's my job. Your job is to slam that little gavel of yours and call a verdict. So do it. Yes, sir. Special Express ain't cheap, right? Just so yous know, since you's paying. Oh, man. Doesn't the rule of law mean anything around here? You're something of a loan collecting pro, aren't you, Mr. Tigra? No one escapes the tiger's clutches. Well, I'm something of a lie detecting pro. And no one escapes the Phoenix's clutches. I think it's time we got something straight. What's this straight? A new line of irrelevant questioning? These are the floor plans of the crime scene. You say you were standing at the entrance, Mr. Tigra. From there, your field of vision would have covered an area something like this. Indeed, the witness would have had a clear view of the victim's seat. Isn't that what I just said? I saw the back of the kid's head. You see what's wrong, Di? You see what's wrong? Unfortunately for you, that is not possible. If the court would think back, you'll remember that between each of the tables is a tall partition. Boy, that's true. Now look at the plans again. The truth is plainly obvious. From the entrance, the field of vision of any customer walking in ends here. So, from the entrance of Tribulations, you couldn't have seen the victim's seat. But you did see the victim that day because you met with him.
Objection!
Wrong! Have you forgotten the old man's testimony yesterday? The victim was alone at his table.
Objection!
But the defense just proved that point to be moot. The victim witnessed by Mr. Kudo was not Glen Elk, but a fake. What? In order to have Mr. Kudo falsely testify, the real killer posed as the victim he had just killed and acted out a charade. That will do. The trial is going on long enough without the obvious question being answered. Who exactly was the real killer who imposed the victim? You say the killer murdered Glen Elk and then impersonated his victim in a performance for Victor Kudo? In that case, Mr. Wright, reveal the identity of the criminal to the court. Who is it, Di? Obviously, the killer is Firo Tigra. No one else could have done it. What? Well, witness? No, that's cute. You think you can pin this on the tiger? Maybe yous don't understand. The tiger is king of the jungle. So I dare you to say it again. Come on. You got the guts?
You can't threaten me, Mr. Tigra. It's the defense. Go ahead and tell the witness, Mr. Wright. Mr. Wright!
Oh, so now the green fairy pops up from behind that desk, and the blue spike-haired lies behind the desk. Sounds to me like it must be you, old man. You've got guts, I'll give you that. And that green fairy.
Mr. Wright, don't leave me to handle this alone.
Ha!
Perhaps I can end this embarrassment. Mr. Godot? Let's just go back over Mr. Godot's testimony one more time. The old man didn't see just the victim. Oh, no, no, no. The servant girl brought him a Davicino, but she put something in it. There's no question about it. She was conspicuously putting some white powder in there. Was the victim he saw the real victim or not? That doesn't matter. The fact remains, he saw the accused put the poison into the coffee. Yes, it was the waitress who poisoned the coffee. Very impressive, Mr. Godot. Waiting for my ass to launch your attack. Ha! Found your pen at last, right? It was in my pocket. Anyways, Mr. Godot witnessed two people that day. He saw the victim, the supposed Mr. Glenelg, and the waitress from behind. Well, yes, your point, Mr. Wright? I think the conclusion is obvious. If this Glenelg was really the killer in disguise, then surely it's possible the waitress was also part of the show. What? You mean the waitress was an imposter as well? The defendant, Miss Bird, fell unconscious immediately after the incident. And someone used her fainting to hatch an elaborate plan to pin the murder on her. Who on earth was it? Who was the waitress that Mr. Godot witnessed? Guy? Who do you think it is? Who is this woman? Her name is Viola Cadaverini. She's an employee of Tender Lender. He was making a big mistake. You know who Violetta's grandfather is? You better be going home in an armored truck tonight, if you know what I mean. Stop digging, Nick! Where was I? Yes, the defendant, Miss Bird, has stated the following. Well, when I took the coffee over to the victim's table, it's true there was another customer in that restaurant. She was sort of creepy. And she had a kind of cackling laugh. There are just too many contradictions in this case. The second man at the victim's table, who nobody but Miss Bird seemed to have seen. The earpiece worn by the victim in his left ear when the eardrum was ruptured. And the radio show he was supposedly listening to half an hour after it was over. There is only one logical explanation that clears up all these contradictions. The whole incident took place twice. Once for real and once for show. And Mr. Spiro Tigra, the only person who could have committed the crime, is you. Witness, what have you got to say? That's cute. Sorry? You's alright. I could do with a guy like you around. What do you mean? Okay, I'm in on this game. I'm gonna have to charter a jet to get to my meeting now, but I'm gonna give you one more thing to think about before I go. Something to think about? You got it all wrapped up nice, huh, right? But you's missing one real important thing. But that can't be. I was in the joint that day, and I met the kid too.
But I couldn't poison him, you hear? What? Do you really expect us to believe you now, Mr. Tigra? Ha! What a troublemaker. Troublemaker? Looks like we're going to need another one for the road. One more steaming cup of hot testimony. Indeed, witness, you will explain yourself to the court. I will give you one more chance to testify. What happened that day at Tribulations between yourself and the victim? Ties to the victim. Yeah, I loaned El cash, about $100,000. That day he was due to have a little chat. The kid had hit his payback date, see? So anyways, he tells me he's got no way to pay up. I'm about to flatten this guy, but he starts screaming, "Yes, I want $500,000! We got lucky, you know, real lucky. If that waitress hadn't done what she done, everything would have been over. No, I see the principal amount you loaned to Mr. Glenelg was $50,000. Yeah, well, you got to big to take into account interest builds up fast, you know. That's faster than fast. $100,000 is twice his principal. And the repayment deadline was December 3rd, the day of the incident in question. Yeah, he was one lucky kid. He got that $500,000 just in time. So I ain't had no reason to kill the kid. And if I ain't got no motive, you ain't got no case. His motive. He has to have one, but what is it? All right. Okay. So I'm going to tell you right now, Di. You can relax for this one. You can get up behind the desk now. This one, you won't be penalized. You should be all clear. Did you find your pen? Did he have any way of paying the loan back? The fool was a gambler. He said he couldn't give it up till he landed a big win. So I agreed to help him. Help him? You? I kept hitting him with ideas for ways he could get big wins. The guy kept losing. So you were helping him for his sake or yours? Win through compromise. Yous help me, I help you. What's the difference, huh? I don't believe this. Nick, would anyone really ever loan money to someone they thought was unreliable? Like, for example, if it was you, I'd only loan you $5 max. Thanks a lot, Maya. So, how much were you expecting him to pay you back on the day? What'd you think? The whole package, $100,000 included interest. That's a real heavyweight punch. Once a client misses the payment, you call the whole loan in. You want to make it in my world? That's all you gotta know. And how many times had Mr. L been late with his repayments? Once. And how much was he supposed to pay back each month? $50. Sounds like Mr. L was in a really sticky spot. Yeah, $50 a month, he'd never pay that huge loan off. How much did he have left on his debt? You want it in round figures? About $100,000 bucks. That's the whole amount. We're talking about a guy who had 58 cents in his wallet. What? You telling me he wasn't even gonna pay for that coffee? Certainly seems to have been a brave man, this Mr. L. The guy was smooth, I tell you. Smooth, real smooth. You'll have your money in less than 5 minutes. That's what he says to me. The guy then called me the tender tiger. He was shaking on thin ice with me. Was that because guy won the lottery? Was his last chance at a big win? And you can confirm that this is the ticket in question? That's it! $1 Million Radio Show starts at 1:30 p.m. and runs for 10 minutes. That fixes the time you two met with some accuracy. And the whole scene was acted out again 30 minutes later. Also that Mr. Kudo would see it. I can still see the kid's face now. I ain't never gonna forget it. Was there anyone else in the restaurant at the time? I don't remember. There was no one there. I'll wear that ridiculous tiger shirt for a month. To be very... I find this statement very funny because in Spirited Justice, or was it Dual Destinies, that shirt is an alternate outfit for Phoenix Wright. Mr. Armstrong, Maggie Bird, and if I'm right, Viola Cadaverini were all there at the time. So the victim had intended to repay your loan from his loan winnings from the beginning? Seems that way to me. But you weren't normally expecting to win the lottery, would you? Ha! The underling belief that your next roll will end the worst losing streak you ever had. That's what defines a true gambler. It makes it sound so cool. Don't be tempted, Nick. You haven't got the willpower for it. All I know is the kid took a shot and he got lucky in the end. The waitress? You mean The girl with the glasses in the defender's chair. Who else could I mean? If she hadn't got into the way, things would have been bada bing, bada boom, over and done with. Maybe I should press a little on this. Let's see what this says. What do you mean things would have been over and done with? I use all there or what? I'm talking about the cash. I was there to get my $100,000 back, that's all. I'm a businessman. It was all coming together before the waitress got in the way. As far as I can tell from the witness's testimony, other than recouping his loan, Mr. Tigra had no motive for killing the victim. Witness, you will amend your testimony to reflect what you just said. Tigra's motive, huh? I was after the $100,000. I didn't have no reason to kill the guy. Are you saying you had no other motives that day? Yeah, so what? Then why didn't you take the lottery ticket when you left? What'd you think? Because of the four-eyed over there. Because of Maggie? What about you go ask Four Eyes about the $500,000 ticket? She wanted it so bad, she poisoned Glenelg's coffee. A likely theory. Your word hasn't held water lately, Mr. Tigra.
Objection!
Let's not forget this witness was actually at the scene, Trite. The law doesn't exactly agree with some of the deals I send down. I couldn't be there when the cops showed up, so I split. Your Honor, this witness' last few statements are worth a good 2 cups of coffee. Well, Mr. Wright, are you happy with the testimony, or would you like it amended? We don't really need it. Yeah, we don't really need it. I better leave it at that and try to figure out something else. Thank you, Your Honor, but there is no need to amend that testimony. Very well. Continue with your cross-examination then. So the tiger was meeting Glenn Elg to get his money back. Mr. Elg had just given him the lottery ticket. That would have been the end of it. Yeah, so what's the tiger's motive? This is the big one. If I don't manage to undermine this testimony, it's all over for us. Why would he have to poison Mr. Elg? And why did he loan him the money in the first place when he knew he couldn't repay him? You know where the contradiction is? This statement here can utilize 3 pieces of evidence. You can use this for paper.
Objection!
So you just intended to get back the $100,000 Mr. Elg owned you, correct? So you could have used the paper, you could use the disc, or you can use Viola's papers. I loaned the guy the cash, so that's my right. Unfortunately for Mr. Elg, I don't believe the $100,000 is what you were really after.
Objection!
What are you getting at, Trite? What else would a moneylender be after other than money? Oh, the moneylender was after money, but money in a totally different league. The kind of money that a single disc like this would fetch. What is that? A computer virus, Your Honor. A virus called MC Bomber. A computer virus? What does one of those do? A computer virus is a program that wreaks havoc on the inside of a computer. A computer? What does one of those do? I guess the beard isn't the only part of His Honor that is from the Stone Age. I'll explain it to you later, Your Honor. Right now, this is the important point. A virus like MC Bomber would be worth several $1 million on the black market. Several $1 million? Lending money with no hope of ever seeing repayment would normally be bad for business. But in this case, the very fact that Glenn Elg had no way to repay the money is crucial. What? Glenn Elg was a programmer, a highly skilled programmer. That skill was the collateral Mr. Elg put up in order to borrow the money.
Objection!
You're trying to suggest the witness's motive was to get a hold of that program? Exactly. The witness may have poor fashion sense, but he is by no means an idiot, right? A man like him could get his hands on $1 million without resorting to murder. Of course he could, provided that he had time. But if he had needed the money right then, when the pressure's on, the luxury of choice tends to disappear. It seems you have a logical conclusion for this theory, Mr. Wright. Would you care to share it with us? Why did Mr. Tigre need money to the tune of $1 million? In December of last year, you found yourself in need of huge amount of money. About 6 months ago, you were involved in a traffic accident, weren't you? I'm gonna explain how this testimony works. If you had abused Viola's medical papers on the cross-examination, it would flip over and it would ask you what Tigra was after in order to get the money, which would be the virus. An accident involving a car and a scooter in which a young woman was injured. She was taken to the hospital where she underwent surgery. How much of this do you know? These medical papers document the treatment of the young woman in question. According to these, her operation cost $1 million. And yet, when the payment was due last month, you somehow managed to pay it in full. $1 million? A preposterous sum. Someone should sue the HMOs. Ha! No one would pay a bill like that. If the medical association got wind of it, the hospital would end up as dead as a morgue. But Mr. Tigra had no choice to pay, because he is very life dependent on it. Order! 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 You say his life depended on it, Mr. Wright? Indeed it did, simply because the injured woman was none other than Viola Cadaverini. Did you say Cadaverini? Brutal Cadaverini, mob boss in charge of all underworld activities in the city, and dotting grandfather to his precious Violetta, as known as Viola Cadaverini. Whoa! Your life was in danger unless you paid compensation to the boss, correct? It makes sense. You were desperate to acquire the $1 million Brutal Cadaverini demanded of you. So desperate, in fact, that you decided to sacrifice Glenhouse life to pay your debt. On the day of the murder, Mr. Tigra's sole intention was to get his hands on this CD. Glen Elg had no way of paying back the $100,000, and Mr. Tigra knew it. But then a miracle happened. The kid that Mr. Tigra would prefer to say never happened. But he can't. Neither can I. The lottery win? Exactly. The 11th hour, Mr. Elg won $500,000 on the lottery, which left Mr. Tigra with no way of getting his hands on the all-important CD. At least, no legitimate way. So he resorted to illegitimate means. That's crazy. He murdered Glen Elg and then made his next move, to frame Maggie Bird for the crime. Mr. Tigra posed as Glen Elg, while Viola Cadaverini played the role of Miss Bird. And then they reenact the whole scene in order to establish a witness. The witness being the one we all heard testify yesterday, Mr. Victor Coudeau.
Objection!
Like I said, Trite, that's crazy. No one could pull off a stunt like that. For starters, there's no way the chef could have been kept in the dark about it. No! You misunderstand.
Objection!
But Mr. Armstrong was in on it from the very beginning. Have you forgotten already, Mr. Godot? Mr. Armstrong owes the witness money too. $500,000 in tax. He had no choice but to go along with Mr. Tigra's plan. Order, order. You put on a good show, Spiky. If you want to stay alive in the loan shark business, you gotta be careful. You saying I dressed up like that kid, created a witness, and framed someone? If I did something crazy like that, I'd leave a trail as bright as my shirt. I ain't dumb enough to do something sloppy like that. I agree. You do? Despite your parents, you are very careful. That's why you took one more precaution. One more trick to make sure Miss Bird had no way out. What? Another one? Mr. Wright? Interesting. Why don't you fill us in, Trite? What was the trick you say Mr. Tigra performed to frame the accused? This should be easy, guy. Very easy. No. Actually, that's not going to help us. Sure, it has the article about Maggie's case, but that's not going to help us. What on earth is that? What an insult to think anyone could be fooled by such a childish imitation. Consider yourself fooled, Your Honor. Mr. Tigra, you didn't just pose as the victim on the day in question. A month ago in this very court, you posed as me. What? That's the truth. But this witness looked nothing like you, Mr. Wright. Although, now that I think about it, it was you, wasn't it? No doubt it was you, standing in here this very court a mere month ago. The Phoenix Wright who put up a most disreputable, shabby defense I have ever seen.
Objection!
Can you prove that, Gramps? Prove the attorney who represented the accused here a month ago was this man? Are you prepared to take the stand and testify that it was him? Gulp? Hey, forget about it, yeah? I wouldn't do something like that, not me. You made a mistake, right? It was someone else, huh?
Objection!
Have you no pride, sir?
Objection!
This isn't a matter of pride. In case you didn't know, Trite, here in court, we deal with people's lives. Mr. Godot is right. Your Honor, speaking for myself, I am absolutely convinced. The attorney in question was this witness standing here before me now. I preside over this court as the judge, with invested power to hand down a verdict. Someone in my position cannot swayed by a memory without evidence to support it. Unfortunately, that's not 100% true. Because the judge can be all sound. No! If the defense had no further evidence, the court will now excuse the witness. The circumstances surrounding Mr. Tigger are dubious for sure, but not conclusive.
But we've come so far.
You say he impersonated Glenn Elg, you say he impersonated you, but none of that adds up to a murder charge. You don't have a shred of evidence that the witness poisoned the victim's coffee. Ah! Sucks to be you, right? Don't mess with the tiger, or you're gonna get mauled. You's got that?
All we managed to do here was chase him around a bit. But I was so close to getting him to admit his own guilt.
Ah! Looks like I wouldn't be needing a refill. If I had just one more piece of evidence. One more piece of evidence and maybe I could get Maggie off the hook. This witness cross-examination is over. Free to go, Mr. Tigra. Hold it! Your Honor, sir! Wait! Detective Gumshoe. Sorry it took so long, pal. I staked everything on this. My badge, the work. So here it is. My heart's counting on this too. What is it, Detective? Isn't it obvious, pal? It's the final decisive piece of evidence. What? January 8th, 2:48 p.m. District Court Defendant Lobby number 1. We got a problem, Di. Do you know what it is? Sorry it took so long, pal, but I finally got the results from the lab. We got a problem. You'll figure it out. The results? About the prints, pal, from this medicine bottle? Oh, so, do you know who the prints belong to now? Do you think I'm the kind of hack detective? Of course I know. So, tell us, they're the tigers, right? I knew it! You bet! Clear as crystal all over the bottle. They're Firo Tigger's paw prints, alright. That's great. We've got him now, Nick. Do you see the problem, Di?
Well, what's wrong with you? You hardly said a word since Detective Gumshoe got here. He's laid everything on the line for this, Nick.
I know. Look, I'm sorry. This is kind of hard to say, but it really doesn't matter. It doesn't make any difference whose prints are on this bottle now.
Huh? What? Why not?
What we need to produce at this stage in the trial is irrefutable evidence that the tiger put poison in Glenn Elg's coffee. He's already admitted that he met the victim. The fact that his prints are on this bottle, that really doesn't make any difference now.
I knew it. Great. No matter how hard I try, I'm never in use.
Hey. Don't be so hard on yourself.
This was our last chance to help Maggie. And I've been working on some useless piece of evidence this whole time. It's alright. I'm a real loser. It's no breaking news to me now.
Detective Gumshoe? Maggie, you've been working on something for me? Sorry I let you down, Maggie. I know you didn't do it. And I'm a detective. We're supposed to be able to prove stuff like that. I'm really sorry. Oh, go. No.
Detective Gumshoe, wait!
He's gone. Isn't there anything we can do now, Nick? I wish there was. Gumshoe worked so hard to get this evidence. If only there was some way I could use it. Small bottle put into pocket. January 8th, 3:04 p.m. District Court, courtroom number 4. Are you worried now, Di? Are you worried? Wait for it. Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. I granted you a recess so you could present this decisive evidence you discovered. Yes. Don't keep us all in suspense, try to show us. Naturally, we can assume it's evidence that will actually stand up in court, can't we? Think, Phoenix. Don't let Gumshoe's hard work go to waste. How much more of my time are you gonna waste? I ain't been to no court. But you lawyers sure know how to blow things out of proportion. No doubt, given the nature of this evidence, it will speak for itself. Nonetheless, you will talk us through it, Mr. Wright. Well, I know I can't prove anything new with this evidence. I'm really backed into a corner. And maybe if he thinks he's got me beat, he'll let his guard down a bit. Don't keep us waiting any longer, Mr. Wright. Present this final piece of evidence to the court.
Take that!
This is the defense's final piece of evidence. Isn't that the victim? Your Honor. Naturally, the court is already aware of the contents of this bottle. However, interesting new information has come to light. We have clearly identified some fingerprints on it. Fingerprints belonging to you, Mr. Tigra. What? Look, Mr. Roy, what conclusion are you hoping to draw from this new information? What this bottle contains. Except one man, one person in this courtroom should theoretically be in this job. You know what he's going to do, Di? You see what's going to happen. My prints are on that pansy-looking bottle. Is that what you saying? Well, what the hell's in it anyway? A phony trial, a phony lawyer, and phony clues. Everything about this case has been phony. Seems like the perfect excuse for some phony evidence. Mr. Tigra, this is a decisive piece of evidence that will prove your guilt. Why? Because it contains. What does it contain? We have to lie in this situation. We know it has ear medication, but we need to lie. We need to lie so hard that it is going to prove his guilt. Yes, we have to lie. So, we know it has ear medication. So, that's the truth. This bottle contains potassium cyanide. Well, potassium cyanide? The poison used to murder Mr. L, Your Honor. The victim's killer used this very bottle. And on this bottle, Mr. Tigra, we found your fingerprints. Well, how do you explain that? Here it comes. Here it comes, Die. You'd make a good clown, you know that? What? You ain't never gonna get this to stick. You're just making me laugh now. You think a cheap bluff like that's gonna fool the tiger? A bluff? I can see straight through you, Phoenix Wright. That ain't the bottle with the cyanide in it. No. This is the bottle. We found trace of poison in it. That. Don't mess with it, Tiger, or you're gonna get ripped to shreds. The cyanide bottle was brown, and it was made of glass. This cheap plastic of trash doesn't look nothing like it. Got him. At last. What? He just mentioned information only the killer should know. Why is everyone going quiet? I said that bottle. Is this the bottle you're referring to? Yeah, that's it. That's the bottle the cyanide was in. But you ain't gonna find my prints on that bottle. Don't let the cozy looking suit fool you people. That lawyer's just playing games. Tell him, Mr. Prosecutor. Tell the guy where to go. You still haven't figured it out. Godot is going to be very funny in this part. Don't you realize what you just said? What I said? What did I say? You were summoned to this court for the first time earlier today. You really had nothing to do with the murder? You shouldn't have known all the little details. For instance, you shouldn't have known what kind of a bottle the potassium cyanide was in. But just now you slipped up in front of every single person in this courtroom. You described the exact bottle used by the killer to hold the poison. You don't know who's messing with. I'm the tiger. I control millions of dollars in the black market. You think I'm gonna let some jump-up suit get the better of me? Sure, the last piece of evidence was phony. But that's just what you deserve. The phony trial with a phony lawyer. It was all played out by you, the biggest phony of all. What's going on? It's like a blackout. Well done, Wright. So the developers had an oversight. And most people probably didn't pay any attention to this. So there is a huge oversight with this game. You'll find it, you'll get to see it. So you see the bars on Godot's face, right? Well, there's a problem with them. You know what the problem is? The light is not illuminating. The light is only... So you've seen glow in the dark lights before, right? When you put any light to your body, what does it do? It shines, right? When you put any light to your body, glow in the dark sticks, whatever, they cast a light on you. There's no illumination there. That's a reflector. But his goggles are supposed to have lights onto it. That's what a reflector does. I saved my 17th cup of coffee just for you. Savor it. While you watch the police restrain your prey. Mr. Wright, you caught a tiger by his toe. What if this one hollers, he won't be let go? You know that rhyme, don't you, Di? Now then, how are things going with Mr. Tigger, Mr. Godot? He has been arrested on suspicion of murder of Glenn Elg, Your Honor. Fortunately for us, we managed to precisely or rectify a very grave error. The bird was found guilty in the absence of a genuine defense attorney. Yes, she was. And in the absence of genuine evidence. But the tiger made one mistake. Indeed. He barely nearly got away with everything if it wasn't for that one slip of the tongue. Guru Tigra is truly a frightening criminal. Ha! The truly frightening one is the defense attorney over there. No. Well, I am now in position to deliver my verdict. This court finds the defendant, Maggie Bird, that is all. This court is adjourned. January 8th, 4:10 p.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 1. Mr. Wright, I'm at a loss for words. Thank you, sir. Congratulations, Maggie. I was so mad when Mr. Wright landed me in all that trouble a month ago, but now I feel like I can forgive him. Hey, that wasn't me, Maggie. That was the tiger. Look, Nick, in the doorway. It's Detective Gumshoe. Oh, I guess I'll be heading off then, so see you around. Wait! Detective Gumshoe?
Oh, yeah. Congratulations, Maggie.
Thanks.
I knew you were innocent all along.
Why didn't you say that in your testimony then?
Oh, well, that was... well, guess I'll be heading off then. See you around.
Wait up, detective! He just ran off. Maggie, why are you being so hard on him? He busted his butt for you. It's thanks to him that we got the medication bottle. That wasn't even of any use. But it's only because Mr. Wright used it so cleverly. Detective Gumshoe was just running around in circles. Poor guy. Looks like she still isn't ready to forgive him. Can't you put in a good word for him, Nick? Yeah, Maya's right. I should help Gumshoe out. It's clear he needs it. Maggie. You know, Detective Gumshoe's been really worried about you through all of this. I wanted to believe that, sir. But on the first day of that trial, he practically gave the judge a free pass to lock me up. He didn't have any choice, Maggie. He's a detective. He has to report the facts. He doubted me, that's why. He thought I might have done it. I've got to prove to her that Gumshoe really cares about her. I know. I'll give her a little present to celebrate her freedom. Take that! Here you are. A present to celebrate your freedom. That's a present from Detective Gumshoe. Made with a ton of love. He said you lost weight and he was worried about you. Gumshoe? I actually really like Wheaties, you know? Did you guys hear that? I'm pretty hungry myself, you know? Yeah, the trial dragged on a little bit today, didn't it? Is it okay if I eat this now? So, how is it, Maggie? It's really good. So the case of Lafoni versus Genuine comes to an end. The false allegations surrounding Maggie has all been cleared up. And who knows, maybe a whole new chapter of her life is about to start. We have come to the end of this case. Di, you no longer have to hide behind the desk anymore. Yes, Phoenix, it's over with. Well, Armstrong is not the demon. Fear Tigra is the demon. Right, Di? Not today, I'm not. Episode 4 will be next Monday. So, looking at that title, Turnabout Beginnings, Di, can you guess what that is? What is that? That's going to be another one of those flashback cases. We're going to actually need this case to help us understand the last one. The last one is pretty much, to me, the best case in the entire Ace Attorney series. Say what? No, you won't describe the case. I already said it's a flashback case. And that's pretty much all she needs to know because she's going to see the whole case. The best case in the entire Ace Attorney series is Bridge to the Turnabout. And there is nobody in the entire Ace Attorney community that has been able to disprove me. Because when people has talked about a lot of faults with Apollo Justice, Dual Destinies, and Spirit of Justice, nobody has said anything bad about Bridge to the Turnabout. There's quite a few people in the Ace Attorney community that agrees that Bridge to the Turnabout is probably the best case in the entire Ace Attorney series. Was there a least favorite case that you've had so far, Di? I don't think you've had a case that you didn't really like in the series. I probably should change this over. They aren't bad. I really don't care what anybody says. They aren't bad. They aren't that strong of a case, yes. out of all the cases that I have done in the original trilogy, Rise from the Ashes is probably my least favorite. Not that there's anything wrong with Rise from the Ashes. It is a well-written case. But I don't think that there is some very strong points into that case. It's just like everything is very predictable. You knew exactly how that case was going to end before it started, because it was clear from the beginning that the situation was impossible, because there was no way for one person to commit the same crime in two different locations. So it's very predictable. So that's one of the reasons why I wasn't really too much a big fan of Rise from the Ashes. Don't get me wrong, it was really well written. But as a playing aspect of the game, it was too predictive. So, and I can almost guarantee you the developers, they knew it. So they created ways to make the case harder. And when you got a case that's very predictive, you have to try to create some elements to make it difficult. And that's what steered me wrong, because they put in some tricks into the case that doesn't follow the same formula as all the rest of their games. And the fact that Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney is the first game in the series, and Rise from the Ashes is placed in the first game, which that type of method never shows up again in any of the series. Well, kind of. Because that one testimony from Damon Gant, you never get the exact same thing from him again. You get similar. It gets similar that you have to press the statements in a certain order, but then that gets confusing. It's for Damon Gant's testimony, there was a distinctive order that you had to do. You couldn't do it in order. And you had to backtrack in the testimony to get other information too. So that's why that stirred me away from Rise from the Ashes. It had a pretty good story. I enjoy all the story. And for anybody who says that any of these cases are bad, they actually have to sit there and read the story, because in a visual novel, the story is important. Very important. Back to what I was saying, you can't base the story by character. Okay? If there's a character you don't like, that's fine. But your whole argument for that case around that one character should not deter you from the entire case itself. Of course, you're going to be over there. Alright. So, questions. And to match certain situations, I really should center this couch more. Hold on. I should really center this couch more on camera. Let's see. Okay, that's a little bit better. Now you can see more over here. Couch move, so my center as well. So yeah. So I have a new shelf that I gotta put together tomorrow. We still have stuff that we gotta do in Discord stream tonight, tomorrow. Hopefully we can get all of those done, so I have time for practices on Wednesday to start week 8. Phoenix, are you going to be online? That's what I'm asking Phoenix. Are you going to be present for the Discord stream? Is Freya still awake? Did you message her today? No, you can't say probably not. You're going to be in tonight. Go ahead and message her and see if she's awake. Then don't repeat it. Then don't repeat it. Just do as you're told. Turn on the laptop and get things ready. You know what? You're an adult. Sometimes you have to deal with it. I agree with Di. Sometimes you gotta deal with it, Phoenix. Alright. Let me go find a raid target. Who to raid, who to raid, who to raid, who to raid. Alright, 3 choices for you, Di. R3D Gaming or Red Gaming, Rainix or Aziko Zuri. Akio Zuri. You want her? Okay. I kind of wish people would not do vertical streams, but all right. So next time, yeah.